God, so we live on it now. And I'm on mute here. Mm-hmm. I'm probably just gonna. Hey, Ashley, can you stop that real quick, please? If you don't mind. Thank you. And then turn the vent off. Last one. Put it on one. Because background noise.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. The lighting gonna be right.
Like we in a movie.
I know, right? You stupid.
Oh, praises. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Kind of. Should we go ahead and get started with the roll call for the prospects? Con, go ahead. Hey, Salakia, everybody on the call, let's go ahead and do the roll call for the prospects.
I'll start it off. Prospect is Ariella. Salakia.
Go ahead, Op.
Prospect for the final.
That must be it. We got a couple minutes. Let the other brothers get on real quick. What's going on, Israel? Y'all about Shem Y'all Shah Brakatah.
Prospect right here.
Shalom, Op.
How y'all feeling?
Doing good. Hey, I don't know if y'all looking at the live, but I got the brother Ra'am. He from Gad as well, from your house camp up here in Raleigh. He gonna be doing the reading.
Shalom.
There we go. Khan. So just a quick introduction. For the study, it's gonna be called Man's Best Friend, and we'll get into what that is. But we know. So first, let me start with this. When we do teachings, especially as Israelites, we use a specific way of teaching. And I was looking into this. I was watching a whole bunch of videos this week, and we do a very specific way of teaching. And I would call it a train of thought. You know what I'm saying? So like basically a train, it got many stops, but it's taking you somewhere. So like, and most Israelite teachers teach like that. Like we're gonna hit you with 10,000 precepts, but we taking you somewhere. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. It ain't gonna be 10,000 precepts, but you know what I'm saying? I'm making a bunch of points. I'm making a series of points to get to the point. So you gotta bear with me, because I'm gonna give precepts that look like they're not adding up to what we're talking about. But if you follow me, we're gonna get there. All right.
Bring it out.
Con. All right, so right now, man, we at a particular time because we just got done with Passover. So after the Passover, the Israelites go into the wilderness. We know the story. And then when you hit Exodus 19, Moses brings the people up to the mountain, or he brings them to the edge of the mountain. And the Most High said, make them wash themselves, because in 3 days, I'm going to visit them. All right. So with that being in mind, this is what we approaching right now. Hey, y'all put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me on live on the YouTube too. But Shalom. So right now we at the point where Moses is leading us to the edge of the mountain, man. And when you get to what they call Pentecost, that's when the Most High gonna give us. There go the ones right there. So that's when the Most High gonna give us the Spirit, or he gonna give us the law. So with that being in mind, this is what the lesson is looking at, man. And it's a very timely lesson because, like I said, we just got done with the Passover. So our first precept we're gonna hit is Genesis 2:18. Hey, when y'all on the call, make sure you mute the phone. Make sure you mute the phone. And it's a lot of room for precepts and you know, if you got anything, let me know.
Salakia, did I miss roll call already?
Con, go ahead. What's your name, Op?
It's Prospect Rick.
Con. I did start like 2 or 3 minutes early, so you straight. All right. So Genesis 2:18. We're gonna hit Genesis 2:18 real quick. Go ahead.
You ready? Con, this is Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And the Most High said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him."
So when the Most High created man, he realized that it wasn't good that he was alone, man. And so let's backtrack a little bit. So there's a word called hermeneutics. And hermeneutics is the study of general principles of biblical interpretation. So with hermeneutics is 4 main types of biblical interpretation. You got literal interpretation, you got moral interpretation, then you got allegorical and what they call anagogical. Now we as the Israelites won't really get into the anagogical like that because that's going off into some other stuff like some mysticism based off of my understanding. But we do allegorical. And this study right here is really an allegorical study. So of course we looking at when the Most High created Adam himself and said it wasn't good for him to be alone, but we also looking at the deeper implications of that. So the Most High said it was not good that he be alone. All right. And he said he was going to make a help meet for him. Now let's hit Ecclesiastes 4:8. Come on.
He said 4:8.
Yeah, come on. All right. So once again, the Most High created man, and he said it's not good that he be alone. So when you get cool, go ahead.
Con, says Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 8. There is one alone, and there is not a second.
Okay, so if a man is alone and there's not a second, keep going.
Con, yea, he hath neither child nor brother,
And he has no child and no brother.
Con, yet is there no end of all his labor.
Okay, he still got to work like every other man. Keep going.
Neither is his eye satisfied with riches.
Okay.
Neither saith he, for whom do I labor and berave my soul of good?
Keep going.
This is also vanity. Yea, it is a sore travail.
When a man is alone and he don't necessarily have nobody else outside of himself to take care of, it's vanity, but you still got to work as hard as the next man. The next man that's working to provide for a 5-person family, he got to provide for himself and his family. And then that man who's alone, he got to provide for himself. So both men have to work. Okay. And as a man, if you have a family or if you have people to take care of, it's almost like an honor to come into the house knowing that you got a job, knowing that you putting food on the table, and knowing that your people is taken care of, man. Hit verse 9.
Come, verse 9. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor.
Keep going.
For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not answered, he hath not another to help him.
That's right. So woe to the man that's alone, because if he falls, he don't got nobody to help him. So what we looking at right now, man, is we seeing even on the physical side of the universe, like, you know what I'm saying, of life, the physical side of life, the flesh side of life. It's bad to be alone because when you fall, you don't have nobody to help you. That's what's wrong with being an individualite.
Right.
Because
right.
when you,
that's right.
How you gonna, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna sharpen yourself? Who gonna help you lift yourself up? So when it's time, when you're in a hard time and you need some precepts, or you need somebody to call and be like, hey man, I'm going through it. How you gonna do it if you all by yourself?
Right.
All right. The next one is gonna be Sirach 37 and 16. Con. So the brother in the chat said that Esau came up with hermeneutics. And you know what? That's funny that you said that, because so just to give you a little bit of my background, I went to school at a Christian college and I got a degree in Christian ministry, thinking that they was going to teach me something. But while I was there, the only thing they taught us, they had us reading Plato, they had us reading Homer, all of these Greek philosophers, man, and all of these Greek scholars. Meanwhile, we supposed to be studying the scriptures. So at that time, I didn't know, but that's why I got that idea of saying, you know what, man, hermeneutics, because regardless of whether we call it hermeneutics or not, this is actually what we're doing. We studying the Bible on these different levels. So whether we call it that or not, you know, that's here or there. Go ahead with that precept.
Khan, this is Sirach, chapter 37, verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
All right, so how you gonna do that if you're alone? I just wanted to hit that real quick. You know, you gotta have counsel before every action. If you're a wise man, you're gonna pull up and you're gonna ask your elders before you do something. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been in the game for 25, 30 years, you know. So you're gonna ask your elders, man. You're not gonna feel like you're the only person out here doing stuff, and you're gonna be wise. You're gonna have counsel before every action. All right, so I'm gonna go back to Genesis 2 and 18, and now we're gonna start getting into it. Genesis 2:18. And I'm gonna hit Genesis 2:18 a couple of times.
Okay. This is Genesis 2 and 18. And the Most High Power said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him.
All right. So let's see what that helpmeet ended up doing. And we're talking about the physical helpmeet. So let's look at what that physical helpmeet ended up doing. Genesis chapter 3, verse 46, or 4 and 6. Salakia, 4 through 6.
Come. Genesis 4 through 6.
Chapter 3, verses 4 through 6.
Chapter 3. Come. Genesis chapter 3, verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Verse 5. For the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
All right. So the serpent is beguiling the woman. Now remember, the woman is the helper for the man. So this is a cut to any sister out there, and I don't personally know none, all praises, but this is a cut to any sister out there who feel like they man is doing all the studying and they don't got to do it.
Okay.
Because guess what? You're supposed to be a helper. So if anything, you're supposed to catch up on the stuff that I'm missing. So that way, when I step out and I say, hey, I'm about to go do this, you can be like, hey, you know what? I think, you know, let's talk about this and look at this scripture right here. Because you're supposed to be my helper. But what she did was she did the opposite. She did the opposite of that. All right, let's hit verse 6.
Come, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So they ended up taking of the fruit. We know what happened. 1 John 2 and 16. And you know what? As he's going to that precept, 1 John 2 and 16, just to point it out, verse 5 showed you that when Satan deceived the woman, he said this. He said, in that day that you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Was that a lie?
Right.
That was not a lie. That was not the lie. The lie was in verse 4. The lie was that you shall not surely die. But the rest of it was the truth. So what's going to happen is when you're dealing with extra doctrines and stuff like that, man, you got to be real careful, because they surround them doctrines with a whole bunch of truth. And then they're going to hit you with one lie in the middle, and you're going to be lost. You're going to be stuck. So that's where the other helper comes in. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't gonna get into that just yet. 1 John 2:16. Y'all still good on the call? Con.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you going in, and we just don't want to interrupt, brother.
All praises, all praises.
All praises. This is 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
That's everything that's on that tree, man.
Con.
She saw that it was good for food, and it was pleasant unto the eyes.
That's right.
The lust of the flesh, the pride. And what did that boy Esau fall from doing, man?
Right.
He was looking for food. It's always been the same thing, man. Jake Wicked, man. That's how you know it's us. Because you give us a damn chicken sandwich and we good, man.
That's right.
That's all we want is some food. All right. That's wild to me. Like when the whole chicken sandwich thing happened,
right.
And Elder Zaquan was going in on it, you know,
right.
But it's just like, yo, man.
That remind me of how long you simple ones where you love simplicity.
That's right. That's right. Like, how you gonna be that simple? Matter of fact, Psalms 82:6. Psalms 82:6, man. We gotta hit that. We gotta hit that.
Huh.
Because that's wild, man. That's the lowest level of simplicity that you're gonna find. As a baby that just was born into the world, the only thing they care about is food. And we doing the same thing, dog. And you got people, you got people who've been in the truth, or they say they've been in the truth their whole life. 30 years, 35 years. Yeah, man, I've been in church for 35 years. But the only thing you still worry about is the flesh.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How that work?
Right.
All right. So let's hit that. Psalms 82:6.
Come. Psalm 82:6. I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
That's right. So, like I said, was Satan really lying when he said that? No, he wasn't. But what's the next verse say?
Come. Verse 7. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes.
So that shows you right there that half of what Satan was saying was true, but the other half was a deadly lie, man. It was a deadly lie, and those are the most dangerous lies. All right, let's get Sirach 36:24. So, like I said, you gotta walk with me on this one because right now we still at this first stop. We gotta hit a couple of stops before we can get the point. But it's starting to build. It's starting to really make sense. Sirach 36:24. And see, you know, one thing that's interesting too, man. While I was doing this study, we had the conversation on the phone, on the conference call that we do with SOT, and one of the brothers, for some reason, the question came up: what is the inheritance? You know what I'm saying? And that was my whole lesson. Like my whole lesson is what is the inheritance? So we're gonna deal with the other side of that because you got multiple parts of the inheritance. The Most High promised us the land, right? But he also promised us a helper. And I'm not necessarily talking about the physical helper. Sirach 36:24.
Come. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest.
That's right. So that word possession, when you go into the Bible and you look up the word possession, it's going to be H4181. Okay? And that word is morashah. Or if you want to say it in the paleo, mararashah. And it means a possession or a heritage. So he that getteth a wife beginneth a heritage. Okay, this is your inheritance. This is something that was handed down to you from the Most High, man. It's a blessing. Okay, and it also says a help like unto himself and a pillar of rest. And so that verse right there is so deep because that verse is deeper than you know, man. I ain't gonna get into it just yet. Verse 25.
Con. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning.
Okay, so once again, it's a lot of diligent brothers that don't have no wife. Am I saying that these brothers is walking around mourning? No, because I'm not done yet, right? We still at the first stop. But if you don't have a helper, then you in trouble. And that goes on every level. You got to have some type of helper, man. Some type of helper. Because if you think you're going to do this on your own, this is a bigger walk than you prepare for. And one of the things I always tell my kids is Satan is on his job, man. He was created to do his job, and he doing that junk 100% on point. He ain't messing up. He know what he supposed to do. He doing it on time. He getting permission. He doing it where he supposed to be at, doing what he's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have your helper and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're in trouble. You can't make it. Hit 26 real quick.
Verse 26. Who will trust a thief well appointed that skippeth from city to city? So who will believe a man that hath no house and lodgeth wheresoever the night taketh him?
Okay, so this is going into the man that has no possession. Who's going to trust a thief that hops from city to city?
Mm-hmm.
The same person that trusts the man that don't have his own house to stay in. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to trust nobody if they don't have a possession.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that man come and tell me, hey, you need to save up, you need to do this. It's like, brother.
Yeah. That's right.
You might be the wrong one to get that advice from.
Don't be like me.
Yeah. Don't be. I'm the example of what not to do.
Right.
All right. So now, the Most High created the first helper was physical. The first helper was physical. The first possession was physical. The first heritage was physical, man. But let's see what Moses had to say about the spiritual heritage. Let's go into Deuteronomy 33 and 4. What happens when that same helper becomes spiritual?
This is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 4. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob.
That's your inheritance, man. Your inheritance from the beginning was the law. When Moses was at the mountain in Exodus 19, Exodus 20, when Moses came down the mountain, Exodus 34, when Moses came back down the mountain again, he was giving you your inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Those law, statutes, and commandments don't belong to nobody but Israel. So we can't reject that, man. That's our helper. All praises that we know the things that are pleasing to the Most High. We're gonna hit that verse too. But guess what? In that verse, in Deuteronomy 33, verse 4, the word inheritance is marashah. That's your word. That's your word for possession. So this is our possession. Okay. You got anything to say about that?
Nah,
right,
you rolling out. Yeah.
Con. All right, so Psalms 147 and 19. Psalms 147 and 19.
This is Psalm chapter 147, verse 19. And it reads, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
That's right. Keep going.
Verse 20. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Most High.
That's right. These law, statutes, and law, statutes, and commandments was only given to Jacob. It was only given to Israel. Verse 20 says he's not dealt so with nobody else. That's your inheritance. What you look like giving if you got 3 sons and you're gonna give everything, you're gonna give the inheritance to the oldest son. What you look like going outside of your house and giving it to somebody else, man? I ain't doing that. So at the end of the day, we got to stop being simple, man. I think I was watching a video today. People always want to save everybody when you should be happy that you got something.
Right.
You trying to include everybody. You don't have enough to take care of yourself. Like that's the thing, man. We gotta stop being so simple, man. Baruch 3:35. This is one of my favorite passages in all of Scripture.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 35. This is our power, and there shall none other be accounted of in comparison of him.
That's right. Keep going.
Verse 36. He hath found out all the way of knowledge, and have given it unto Jacob, his servant, and to Israel, his beloved.
That's right. So he found out all the way of knowledge and gave it to Jacob, his servant, and Israel, his beloved. Keep going. Keep going.
Verse 37. Afterward did he show himself upon earth, and converse with men.
Okay. Next verse.
That's it on that.
No, chapter 4, verse 1.
Chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endureth forever. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
That's right. So this is the book of the commandment. So everything we read from 35 all the way down, the knowledge that he gave to Jacob and Israel, okay, that's the word. We know that knowledge is the word, okay? We know that the word came on earth and conversed among men. We know that Yahushua is the word. All right. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1 says that specifically, this is the book of the commandments. So this is your helper right here coming down. Go to verse 2.
Verse 2. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it.
That's right.
Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated.
Yo, you're gonna be illuminated. What did Satan say, man?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he say
right.
you're gonna be wise, knowing good and evil? The Most High said, you know what? I don't want you to know evil, so I'm just gonna give you. You know, when he gave Adam the breath of life, man, that was like raw, uncut, straight from the source knowledge. But then Satan was like, yo, you need to get this, man, and it was mixed in with other stuff. It had like pollutants and stuff in it, so it was good and evil. But the Most High is saying that if you walk in the presence of the light thereof, you will be illuminated. Hit verse 3.
Verse 3. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation.
There it is. Don't give what's yours to another nation, man. Stop going around talking about everybody gonna be saved.
Right.
Just worry about, like, we don't even know everybody that's an Israelite. So for the most part, we got to judge by the Spirit. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes words are falling on deaf ears. But since we don't even know who the Israelites all the way are 100%, we definitely don't got no business going out saying other people outside of the Israelite, like, yo, you.
Right.
You never going to run out of people to preach to, just preaching to the Israelites. So why you got to go outside of the Israelites, man?
Right.
In verse 4, I always like, I mean, this, like I said, this passage right here.
Verse 4.
Go ahead, pull it. Or tell me what it is, and I'll read it out loud.
Sirach chapter 6 and verse 13.
6:13.
Yeah.
This is Sirach chapter 6, verse 13.
That's right.
Separate thyself from thine enemies, and take heed of thy friends.
That's right. All right. So give us the sense on that.
Basically, it's telling us like Revelation 18:4 says to come out of her, my people, and like for us to gather together as a nation, to separate our enemies and stop envying our oppressors, and to choose none of his ways.
That's right.
Like we stick to it, because it's done nothing but get us in the predicament that we are now. Like we were given everything.
That's right.
We still want to be like everybody else, but everybody want to be like us.
No, you're absolutely right. He said that we need to separate ourselves from our enemies, man, because at the end of the day, us chasing them down and trying to say that they got salvation, that's not separation. We got to be fully separated from them. Look at verse 14. Matter of fact, since we're looking at it.
Verse 14. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such in one have found a treasure.
And what I'm trying to say tonight is that man's best friend is the law. Man's best friend is wisdom. Man's best friend is the spirit, man. If you find this faithful friend, you got a strong defense. You know what I'm saying? He that have found this has found that treasure. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I appreciate that. All right. Hit verse 4 real quick in Baruch. Let's just hit that last verse.
4 and 4?
Yeah, 4 and 4.
This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 4. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us.
That's right. That's right, man. So everybody can't say that. Everybody can't say that they know what pleases the Most High.
Right.
We can say that because we know for a fact that keeping the Passover is pleasing to the Most High. We know for a fact that women praying and prophesying with their heads covered is pleasing to the Most High. We don't have to guess because he gave us that. And that's our help. It's a help to know that my prayers are being heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a help to know that, because if my prayers not being heard and I don't even know they're not being heard, I'm just wasting my time. It's vanity. But the Most High helping us out by telling us, hey, you got to do this for your prayer to be heard.
You got a precept.
That's right. Go ahead.
This is 1 John 5 and 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
That's right.
So that goes back to what you were saying, and goes back to Baruch 4 and 4. You know, with the things that are pleasing to the Most High is that we keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
That's right. That's right. And it's not grievous.
That's right.
All right. So now let's go to the classic, Genesis 25 and 34. And go to this classic real quick.
Oh, praises.
Go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 34. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
So pay attention. So once again, you got three different levels that we looking at the scriptures in. You got the basic level, which is the literal level. Then you got the moral, which is your ethics. Then you got allegorical. Those are the three levels we're looking at. And just reading that verse, we're going to skip the literal level. All right. We're going to skip the other levels. We're going to look at the literal level. What actually happened? Esau despised his birthright. The inheritance that was given to him, he was like, nah, I'm good. Now think about that. We just read what the Most High gave us. The Most High gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. That's our heritage. He ain't give it to nobody else.
Right.
What you think gonna happen if you tell him, nah, I'm good? You getting it, man. That's why it says, come out of her, my people, so that you partake not in her plagues. Revelation 18 and 4. Because you're going to get the same thing they getting. Because they rejected the birthright, and now you're going to reject it? Okay, cool. You can get the same thing. And there's plenty of precepts that show us that, man. Let's hit Wisdom 3 and 9. You can't reject, man. You can't reject this. Or actually, let me rephrase that. You should not reject this, because this is your birthright. Go ahead.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 9. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth.
If you put your trust in the Most High, you're gonna understand what's truly going on. When we was out here just doing our thing, we didn't know what was going on, man. I was still smoking weed when I was going to church, and like not because I was just saying, oh, bump what the pastor said, but because it was like, yo, you don't have to follow no rules. All you got to do is believe. And I believed, and I was still doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? And shouldn't have really been nothing wrong with that, because that's what the theology teaches. But if you really put your trust in the Most High, you're going to understand the truth. Nah, you can't live your life the way you want to, man. You got to do what he asked you to do. Keep going.
They put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to the saints, and he hath care for his elect.
So what they say is, well, the Most High is a loving God, and he'll have mercy on me. He understands me. He knows my heart. This right here just said grace and mercy is for the saints.
Right.
So you gotta be perfect to have grace and mercy. You gotta be called the elect to have grace and mercy. That's why Yahushua said, Matthew 5:48, he said, be ye perfect as your Father also in heaven is perfect. All right.
I got a precept to that.
Khan, go ahead.
Khan, this is Titus 1:16. They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him.
That's right.
Being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. So that goes back to what the brother was saying. When you say, oh, God know your heart, no, you got to go by his law, statutes, and commandments, because people try to make their own idea of what God loves.
That's
and
right.
It's not going to the word.
That's right. Exactly. Because I tell you this, man, he know your heart, but that ain't a good thing.
Right.
He know your heart. And I'm telling you, like for me, he know my heart, and I still be like, yo, I need to tighten up. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the spirit of oh snap, I didn't even like the incense.
But I thought that was it over there.
Yeah, I'm tripping, dog. But nah, it's all good. Salakia. Oh yeah, but yeah, man, if you saying that and you got the spirit of that's a good question right there. I'm gonna get to that question a little bit later if you don't mind. If you don't mind, we're gonna come back to this question. What the brother asked on that. If y'all on the call and you're not on the YouTube, he said, do you have to be perfect to be a saint? That's a real good question. We're gonna come back to that. So anyway, yeah, him knowing your heart is a scary thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said, a new heart will I give them. But we're gonna get into that. Let's hit verse 10 in wisdom.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 10. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Most High.
And that's wicked Jake. This ain't dealing with the other people. This wicked Jake right here. Because they gonna be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Most High. You can't forsake the Most High if he was never dealing with you. So this is wicked Jake. That's why I said he know my heart. That's a scary place to be at. I'm gonna hit two more verses in that same chapter. Well, three more. Verse 11.
Just to kind of land me back on what you were saying. This is how you know it's Jake, because in verse 3 verse 9, it says the saints. Now this is Psalm 148, verse 14.
That's right.
He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even the children of Israel. So right there is talking about the saints being the children of Israel. And then going back to Wisdom 3 and 9, going down to verse 10, it says the ungodly. So that's in the right context, that verse 9 is talking about the saints. So verse 10 is also talking about the saints.
That's awesome.
Which is Israel.
That's right. Do you know how to take this off the screen? I'm gonna take it off, but I'm gonna answer that question. Do you have to be perfect? All right, there it is. All right, so that's perfect, because that shows that the saints is Israel.
Right.
So none of that. If you believe you're a saint, none of that.
Right. Right.
We ain't dealing with that. So verse 11.
Verse 11. For whoso despiseth the wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain.
Read that one again.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 11. For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable.
Now, why would it say that? Because we just read in Baruch chapter 3 and 4, we just read that this wisdom, you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff, this is the book of the commandments. If you turn around and despise that and turn away from that, if you walk away from your inheritance that the Most High gave you, your helper, then whatever happens to you, man. You gonna get it. And the Most High not dealing with that. It also says that your hope is vain. So you sitting around saying, well, all I gotta do is have faith. Well, you having faith for no reason.
Right.
If you're not willing to do this, then you having faith for absolutely no reason. Thus saith the Most High.
Con.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. Their wives are foolish, and their children wicked.
Why? Because they don't got no law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
So they wives just doing what the heck they feel like doing. They kids running around being crazy. It is what it is. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Their offspring is cursed. Wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which have not known the sinful bed.
That's right.
She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls.
That verse right there is talking about being perfect. So when we talk about being perfect, right? I can go into that right now shortly, because let me pull that real quick. Matthew 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. I'm gonna hit Proverbs 5:8. I'm running through the precepts on being perfect real fast, just to make a point. Proverbs 5:8. Remove thy way far from her, and come not near the door of her house, lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. What does that second part mean? You're giving your honor unto others by leaving the way of the righteous. What I actually titled my YouTube channel is Yonatan Darak Lakai. Darak is the way, right? It's a way or a path, and Lakai is of life. So it's the way or the path of life, man. This is the only path that we need to be on. The brothers brought it out last night on TNT. Like, this is the only narrow path that you need to be on. And if you and listen, you staying on that path until the end is perfect. That's the definition of perfect. We're not talking about a man lived his whole life and never messed up, and the Most High gonna kill you the first time you mess up. Nah, we're not talking about that. We saying he who endures until the end shall be saved. That's a perfect man. And if you endure until the end, the Most High gave you the helper to make that happen. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Did somebody say Salakia? Somebody said Salakia on the call? Con. All right. So let's keep moving. That was wisdom 9. Real quick, just for short measure, let's hit 1 Samuel 15 and 33. I'm ready when you are.
This is 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 33. And Samuel said, as thy sword hath made woman childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Most High in Gilgal.
Salakia, hold on. I might have wrote that one down wrong. Salakia, scratch that one, man. Scratch that one. I wrote that one down wrong. Let's hit Romans 8 and 4.
Romans 8 and 4.
Romans 8 and 4. So we know that the helper, the Most High gave you the helper because he wants you to finish the mission. You can't finish the mission without the helper, man. That's why, you know what? It's folly and madness when people out here talking about you don't need Yahushua.
Right.
Your hope is vain, brother. You know what I'm saying? Your hope is vain. That's wild and madness right there. Because Yahushua is the only reason that you even know the breakdown for what the spirit is. Because in the Old Testament, they hit you with precepts and told you, the spirit gonna help you do this, spirit gonna help you do that. But Yahushua was the one who broke it down and said, when I leave, I will give you a comforter. He the one who told you that.
All
right.
You said 8:34?
Nah, just 8 and 4.
8 and 4. Romans 8 and 4.
Say it again.
I was saying, Slocky.
Go ahead. What you got?
Was the precept you were looking for 1 Samuel better than sacrifice?
La. I ain't even gonna lie. I think I just wrote that one down. That was on me, but appreciate it. And the brother pulled out. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
God.
So that's a cold cut right there too. Obedience to what? To the law, to the helper. That's better than sacrifice. Why? Because sacrifice comes after you mess up. So obedience, of course, obedience is better than sacrifice. Because obedience is on the front side. You ain't mess up. You did it right. You know what I'm saying? So that's good. Appreciate that. All right, Romans 8:4.
Romans chapter 8, verse 4. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit.
But we don't gotta keep the law because Jesus fulfilled the law.
Right. Man, go back to Matthew 5.
You know, Matthew, like Jesus fulfilled the law, man. But guess what? Romans told us right here that we gonna fulfill the law. It said the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us. Why? Because we walk not after the flesh. We're not looking for the things that Esau looking for. Esau looking for food. Esau looking for money. Esau looking for this, that, and the third. And he's taught us how to do that. That's why our rappers got the big gold chain.
Right.
That's why we got all the new Jordans when they first come out. Even though Jordan taxing niggas for them shoes, man. He want 250, 300 bones for the shoes.
That's crazy. Brothers dying over them.
People dying over them junks, man. I got a funny story too. I was in the Air Force. I went to basic training. My wife's gonna laugh about this, but I went to basic training. I had some 7s on. I had paid like 150, 200 for them junks. And I didn't bring no shower shoes to basic. So you know what they did? They was like, nah, bro, you can't get in the shower without shoes on. So I guess you gotta wear your Jordans. I had to wear my Jordans in the shower, man. Everybody else had flip-flops on.
You mean them Jordans wasn't waterproof?
No, they wasn't.
Nah, all that money.
All that money. You would have thought I could walk on water with them junks. Nah, man. So anyway,
can I get this real quick? This is the definition in Strong's fulfill. It says to make replete, that is literally to cram, level up, to furnish, satisfy, execute, finish, verify, accomplish, complete, end, expire, fill, fulfill, fully preach, perfect supply.
That's right. So fulfill, that
it literally means to do it.
That's right. It's a physical manifestation of something. You know what I'm saying? So like if your parents tell you to do the dishes before I get home, I'm cutting that behind.
Right.
And my kids know what time it is, then guess what? They're gonna do the dishes and they're gonna fulfill your requirement. But do that mean that on Tuesday, when I come back home, you never have to do the dishes again because you already fulfilled the requirement? That ain't what that means.
You got a whole new set of dishes to do.
Yeah. I only got to do them once.
All right.
I already fulfilled your commandment. You know what I'm saying? That's on wild, man. Verse 5 on let's hit Romans 8:5.
Romans 8:5. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit.
There it is.
Man.
So once again, Esau not getting away. And technically, we actually converse about this a lot. Technically, if you Jake and you rejecting your inheritance, you basically doing the exact same thing that Esau did. So what makes you any better than Esau at that point? That's wild.
That's deep.
Verse 6. Oh, Khan, go ahead.
So that would kind of make you like a goat, kind of like in Matthew 25:31. So when your house comes back, he's going to separate the sheep on his right hand, and he's going to separate the goat from the left.
That's right. I got to read that one out loud. The water for that. You said it was 25:31?
Yeah, 25:31 and 32. And it's kind of like when Rebecca had Jacob dressed up as Esau, she made him put on goat feathers.
That's right.
So it kind of makes perfect.
That's right. He was a sheep in goat's clothing. But we gonna like Jacob was a sheep in goat's clothing because he fooled his father into thinking that he was Esau. That's wild. That's good. Hey, I'm gonna read that out loud. So Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. So the brother was just pulling out the water again. He was just pulling out that if you crossing hairs, man, and you rejecting your inheritance, it's real easy to come from that pool of sheep and end up being lumped in with the goats. Just like it's easy to be punished, you know what I'm saying, with Esau when you really supposed to be with Jake. So you just got to pay attention to that, man. It's a very thin line. That's a reason that them two dudes, Jake and Esau, that they was two twins. There's a reason for that, because it's a thin line. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that you actually become Esau, but you're gonna get the punishment. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get destroyed because you want to be wicked. All right. Khan. Shalom. Khan, go ahead. I'm sorry. Hold on real quick. I'm having a hard time hearing you. Say it again.
Got a precept to you, book of Sirach, chapter 8, verses 11 and 12.
Khan.
I'm gonna hear that.
All right. Go ahead.
Khan. So Sirach 8, verse 12.
11
and 12. Shalaki. Sirach chapter 8, verse 11. Rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap thee in thy words.
Chapter 9, verse 11.
Okay, This is Sirach chapter 9, verse 11. Envy not the glory of a sinner, for thou knowest not what shall be his end.
That's right.
Verse 12, delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in, but remember, they shall not go unpunished unto the grave.
That's right. Give us the sense on that.
Like you was talking about how we like to copy and buy sneakers and things of this world that really is not profiting us nothing. You know what I'm saying? Spending our money chasing after these stars and celebrities, chasing after what Esau do. And man, it's all vanity and it's all sin, man. And we don't really consider what their end is gonna be. You know.
That's right. The water for that, Con. So we don't know what their end is gonna be, man. But you know what? At the end of the day, you already have a helper set up for you. So I ain't trying to figure out. Like when it said in verse 11, it said, for thou knowest not what his end shall be. I ain't even trying to figure out what their end shall be. I'm just trying to use the helper. You know what I'm saying? Stay on the straight and narrow, get to the end. It's almost like them brothers in lockup. Like, hey, look, I'm just trying to do my time, man. I'm just trying to do my time in the flesh so we can make it to the spirit. That's it. I ain't trying to mess up. I ain't trying to fight nobody. You know, I ain't trying to do none of that. I'm just trying to get out, man. Let's hit Jeremiah 31 and 33. So this was always prophecy. This was always the plan for the Most High. From the beginning, it was the plan that man shall not be alone. And so, like we said, we saw what happened on the physical side. The Most High gave us a helper, and you know, we was wicked. We was wicked with it. And we allowed the helper to help us fall, basically. But now we in an interesting position, because as we come up on Pentecost, what people call Pentecost, you know, as we come up on that, this is the time when the Most High is going to pour his spirit out. This is the time when the disciples was in the upper room and the spirit came down on them and they started speaking in multiple tongues. So we got to prepare ourselves for that helper to come in, man. We got to wash ourselves. Like now is actually a really good time for a fast if you can do that. now is a good time to pray and make sure that you get all that leaven that should have already been out. Because I know for me, every year during Passover, we clean up all the leaven, and then at the end, we find one piece of bread that was hidden somewhere that we ain't know. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High just showing you, yo,
right.
You cleaning yourself up, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna be perfect. And I need you to just tighten that up, man, because now I'm getting ready to pour my spirit on you. I need you to be clean for that. So let's hit Jeremiah real quick.
Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Most High, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people.
That's right. So this was the plan. The plan was that he was going to write the law in your inward parts. He was going to write it on your spirit, man, so that you, like, basically, matter of fact, hit verse 34.
Verse 34. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more.
They're going to be perfect.
I will remember their sins no more. There you go.
That's right. They're going to be perfect. They're going to be counted as perfect at that time. I'm going to pull a sidebar real quick. I'm going to get you, get Ezekiel 39 and 33, and I'm going to pull Sirach 32.
You said Ezekiel.
So the next precept is Sirach 32 and 14. And then the brother's going to pull Ezekiel 39 and 33.
Ready?
So I'm gonna hit Sirach first. Sirach 32 and 14. Whoso feareth the Most High will receive his discipline, and they that seek him early shall find favor. He that seeketh the law shall be filled therewith, but the hypocrite shall be offended thereat. So guess what? If you seek the law, you're gonna be filled with the law. That's the new covenant. This is and right now we are still in the old covenant, of course, but we are making our way towards the new covenant, man. That's why we say he who endures to the end, because you're not gonna be perfect until the end. It's a process. We're not saying, hey, you gotta be perfect right now. Nah, we saying make a diligent effort to be good, and you're gonna understand how easy this is. And then after that, you're gonna go days without messing up. You're gonna go days without sinning before the Most High. Because it's gonna be like, dang, man, you know what? I just been in the spirit all week. Like me and my wife said that. We've been saying that for the past 2 or 3 weeks. We just been in the spirit for the past 2 or 3 weeks, man. Ever since the Passover closed, and actually going into the beginning of the Passover, we've been in the spirit, man. And we not, like I said, we're not gonna be 100% blameless, but you will have great days. You're gonna have days where you wake up and you just already in the spirit. You got precepts on your mind. You meditating on the scriptures. You having dreams about the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ever seen Dr. Strange?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dr. Strange, the brother was asleep, but his body was up reading the book.
Right.
I told my brother Ronnie, I said, hey, if I can get that, I'm good. Like be asleep and just be reading the scriptures
while you sleeping.
You know what I'm saying? Like you remember your scriptures. It's another thing. Like the Most High do things. He wired our brain a certain way, man. This is showing you that the helper is already there, but it's just kind of, you know what I'm saying? We fighting against the flesh. We're gonna hit that, but we fighting against the flesh, and so the helper is already there though. So like it be times when, so I burn my incense, I burn my frankincense and myrrh every time I read the scriptures. Now I've been doing that for about 2 months, and now if I'm thinking about scripture and I'm not burning the incense, I will smell the incense. No lie.
Wow.
I can smell the incense. Now think about this. The priests always had to have the incense burning. So the priests, whenever they came into the tabernacle, dog, they had a smell stained in their mind. They had a perfume that had to be anointed on the. They had a smell stained in their mind. If they smelled that junk, they knew the priest was near. The high priest was near. They was in the tabernacle. That it automatically associated that in their mind. And so what I'm telling you, I was experiencing that, man. Like I be reading the scriptures, and I'd be like, yo, somebody burning incense, and my wife would be like, nah, we ain't doing that. And I'd be like, yo, I smell frankincense, dog. So I'm telling you, man, the Most High, man, he got this under control, man. Hey, let's hit Ezekiel 39.
39. What verse you want?
39 and 33.
39, 33.
Yeah, I'm actually skipping. I'm messing up.
29.
Dang, man, I wrote that one down too. It might be 23. Hold on. Salakia, bear with me, guys. I wrote another precept down wrong. Hold on.
8 of 23 right here. Is
that it?
And the heathen shall know.
Nah, hit 25. Ezekiel 39, 25.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39, 39. Salakia. Chapter 39, verse 25.
That's right.
Therefore, thus saith the Most High, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name.
That's right. Keep going.
Verse 26. After that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid.
Okay.
Verse 27. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations.
Keep going.
Verse 28. Then shall they know that I am the Most High, their power, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there.
Okay, so listen. So he telling you the whole story. We was in our land. We was sinning. He kicked us out. We had to go to timeout. He pulled us back from timeout. But now, is he just going to pull you back from timeout and allow the whole process to happen again? Let's read verse 29.
Verse 29. Neither will I hide my face anymore from them, for I have poured out my spirit unto the house of Israel, saith the Most High Power.
He going to give you the helper, man. He going to give you the helper. This is what we dealing with. It's really a reoccurring theme throughout scripture. The whole book of Judges just do like this. Like they sin, he sent a judge, or they sin, another nation comes and oppresses them.
Right.
Then the judge comes and frees them, and then they go back to peace. And then they have so many years of peace, and then they sin, and then so they just keep doing the same thing, man. We wicked. We gonna keep doing that forever. So the Most High said, you know what? I love these people so much, I'm gonna give them a helper. It's not good that they should be alone.
Right.
It's really that simple, man.
That goes back to Genesis 2.
That's right. Genesis 2:18. Once again, like it's not good that man should be alone. And once again, I'm not saying that when he wrote that verse, he was specifically talking about the spirit. I'm showing you that when he created man, it was never good that they should be alone. All right. Let's hit 2nd Ezra 9 and 31. Y'all still doing good on the call, right? Con. All praises. 2nd Ezra 9 and 31. This is one of the coldest cuts in scripture, man.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 31. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and you shall be honored in it forever.
All right, so he's gonna put that law in you. Once again, we read this in multiple places, but this time it's gonna add the understanding. So this is when we talk about that train of thought, right? So we hit that the help meet, the physical help meet. Now, then we start talking about the spiritual help meet. Now we starting to talk about what that spiritual help meet is gonna do for you. All right. So it said he's gonna sow the law in you and it's gonna bring forth fruit. He didn't say it might bring forth fruit. He didn't say, I hope it bring forth fruit.
Right.
He said it's going to bring forth fruit. And what else is it gonna do?
And you shall be honored in it forever.
You'll be honored in it forever. Because you're gonna live forever with the fruit that I put in you. You understand? Let's hit verse 32.
Verse 32. But our fathers, which have received the law, kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances, and though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine.
All right, so we gotta break this one down. So our fathers, now we getting a little bit into the meat, okay? But we still talking about our inheritance. Our fathers inherited the law from Moses, okay? They inherited the law from Adam, actually, and it was just passed all the way down. So, but our fathers which received the law, they kept it not, and they observed not thy ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was yours. We know that the law endures forever. We know that not one jot or tittle shall pass from the law until all of it be fulfilled. So this is what this verse is talking about. Now think about this. Understand how eternal life works. You're going to get the law. It's going to come inside of you, and you're going to become the law. You're going to fulfill the law like we read in Romans.
Right.
You're going to become the law. How can you perish if you've become the law? If you the law, if you become the law and the law endures forever, how can you perish? Verse 33.
Verse 33. Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them.
So something was given to them. That's the parable of the talents, right? Like everything, everything come together, man.
That's right.
You know, like he gave you something and you not gonna use it. Nah, chop your head off, man. You know, and so that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. Let's go ahead. Let's get off of that. I only got a couple more, guys. I only got a couple more. Let's go to Wisdom 10 and 1. We're gonna do a little bit of jumping around in wisdom. So if you see something in that chapter, just bear with me. We're gonna jump around, but I'm doing it on purpose.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 1. She preserved the first formed father of the world that was created alone, and brought him out of his fall.
Stop. Stop. It says she brought him out of his fall. Yo, that's cold right there. So Adam transgressed the law of the Most High. The Most High kicked him out of the garden. And guess what he did after that? He got back on the straight and narrow. Adam was a perfect man. He got back on the straight and narrow. He taught his son Seth how to be righteous. Seth taught his generations how to be righteous. And that's how we ended up with Noah. It says that wisdom brought him out of his fall, man. Remember what we read when we was in I don't remember where we was at, but we read it and it said, hold on, let me pull it. It was Ecclesiastes 4 and 8. It said, if a man be alone and he fall, who's gonna lift him up?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we dealing with, man. Wisdom 10 and 1 is telling you that wisdom will help you when you fall. It's the helper. Hit verse 2.
Verse 2. And gave him power to rule all things.
That's right.
But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
That's right. So when the unrighteous left their inheritance, when they left their helper, they followed in the way of Cain. You know what I'm saying? Well, that was Cain that they're talking about, but all of the unrighteous followed in the way of Cain. Okay. Let's hit verse 5.
Verse 5. Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against his tender compassion toward his son.
Okay, so when the nations in their wicked conspiracy, Psalms 83, okay, she found out the righteous. She came and found the righteous and preserved him blameless, kept us perfect. That goes back to the question that was asked. Excellent question, because like I said, this is perfectly in line with what we're talking about. That helper is going to preserve you blameless. Remember, Ephesians 5 and 26. Let's hit that real quick. Just as a side note, we're going to come back. Ephesians 5 and 26. Dang, man, my page is stuck together. Come on, if you got it, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I'm in Philippians. Shalaki.
Come on, there we go.
All right. 5:26.
Yep, 5:26 and 27.
Come. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Verse 27. That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
Without blemish, man. So he gonna use that word, he gonna sow it in you, and you gonna have an affinity to keep these law, statutes, and commandments, and you gonna walk it out, man. And it's gonna keep you blameless until the end.
Got a precept.
Con, go ahead and pull it.
Con, this is Hebrews 10 and 22. Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience.
That's right.
And our bodies washed with pure water. So that goes back to what it was saying in Ephesians, to have that cleansing, wash with that water, but that's more like a spiritual washing.
That's right.
A spiritual cleansing.
The spiritual baptism.
Con.
That's right. Because see, that's the thing, man. We was all baptized with Moses when we walked through the Red Sea. We was all baptized physically, but we see that didn't wash our sins. That's why in Jeremiah 31, the Most High had to say, hey, look, I'm going to give them the helper, and I'm going to cause them to walk in my statutes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We was in Wisdom 10.
Yep.
Wisdom 10, verse... Let's start back at 5 because I can't remember if we read it or not.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 5. Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High.
That's right.
And kept him strong against his tender compassion toward his son. Verse 6. When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man, who fled from the fire, which fell down upon the 5 cities.
Yo, that helper was always there. Keep going.
Verse 7, of whose wickedness even to this day, the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and plants bearing fruit that never came to ripeness. And a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul.
Whew. Wow. That's cold right there. Verse 8, we got here 8 and 9.
Verse 8. For regarding not wisdom, they got not only this hurt, that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them to the world a memorial of their foolishness.
That's right.
So that in the things wherein they offended, they could not so much be hid.
So check it out. Verse 8 letting you know that you're going to leave behind a memorial. You're either going to leave behind an everlasting memorial of foolishness, or you're going to leave behind an everlasting memorial of your fruit, because your fruit shall never perish.
Right.
That's your choice. Verse 9.
Verse 9, but wisdom delivered from pain those that attended upon her.
That's right. Wisdom is the helper, man. Listen, that's your inheritance as an Israelite. You got all of your forefathers who went through this, and they really didn't understand. We have the benefit of being able to look at history through a telescope,
right,
and see everything and just be like, wow, man. And the Most High gave us understanding, and the Most High is giving us that spirit as well. Like, how can you fall? Even if you fall, you're going to get back up 25 times, man.
Right.
The scriptures say a wise man, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get up many times. So let's hit John 14 and 15.
I
only got like 4 more precepts. 4 more precepts.
Oh, crazy. He said 14, 15?
Come.
It's the book of John, chapter 14, verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Khan, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Read that again.
This is John 14, verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments.
That's right. Keep going.
Verse 16.
And what now this is a precept we pull all the time. But what's the very next thing that happens if you keep those commandments?
Verse 16, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever.
That's the helper, man.
Right.
That comforter, that junk will keep you warm, boy.
Right.
Hey, you ain't getting cold at night, Cal. Verse 17.
Verse 17, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth with you and shall be in you.
That's right. Guess what? The world can't receive it because it ain't theirs. This your inheritance. They can't get this. Keep going.
Verse 18, I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you.
That's right. That's right. Let's hit 24 for good measure.
And verse 24, he that loveth me not, he that loveth me not keepeth not my sayings, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me.
That's for all the people. Yo, that's a cut for everybody who be like, Yahweh had his own commandments.
Oh, yeah.
These are Jesus' commandments.
What Yahweh say? I teach you no new commandments.
Man, get out of here, man. I done heard it all, man. He said, he that loveth me keepeth not, and he that loveth me not keepeth not my sayings. The word that you hear is not mine, but the Father which sent me.
Right.
So basically, keep the Father's commandments.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a fancy way. Like I don't want y'all will always say that's King's English for that's King's English for keep the commandments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. I'm just running them now, man. I done already made the point. Like the Spirit is your helper. That's why it's so. Listen, this is another thing. People always want to know why it's an unforgivable sin to grieve the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's unforgivable because you're rejecting your inheritance. That's why it's unforgivable. And your inheritance is the one thing that's going to be your key to the kingdom. So when you reject that, when you grieve the Holy Spirit, when you blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, nah, you can't get the kingdom because that was your ticket. That's like going outside. That's like going outside the house without having your house key. Coming back to the door, trying to open up the door, and you're gonna use every other method except for using the house key.
Right.
And Yahweh told you that it was the house key. And he said, I'm the door. You don't make it no clearer than that, man.
I remember when I was growing up, man. If I lost my key, I had to wait.
That's right. Your parents was like, nah,
I ain't giving you another key.
That's right. Ain't no leaving the windows open. No. Right. Ain't no extra key under the doormat.
And look, why won't you leave the window open so nobody else get in? It ain't supposed to be in there.
Because then the thief gonna get in.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna leave another key for you, man. Man, get out of here.
Oh man.
All right, Wisdom 4 and 6, or Deuteronomy 4 and 6.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Now, this right here proves, once again, that your inheritance can't be for the whole world. Because the other nation is going to look at you and say, yo, them people, they wise, man. I need to follow them.
Right.
So once again, man, we got to stop with the madness. We can't. This is an inheritance thing. All right. This is an inheritance thing, and it's not like we just making up stuff, man. Like the elders who went in here, and the Spirit was helping them to get this understanding. Like this is spot on, man. I'm telling you, I spent months of my life trying to debunk the Israelites before I became an Israelite.
Wow, he was like Paul.
You know,
he was like Saul.
I was Saul. But I will give it this. Saul knew the law.
That's right.
I didn't.
Right.
So that's the foolishness of trying to debate the Most High's prophets, man. Because Paul knew the law and he still didn't succeed.
Right. Right.
Good night. All right. That's crazy, man. Let's keep reading.
Verse 7. For what nation is there so great, who hath the Most High so nigh unto them, as the Most High our power is in all things that we call upon him for?
That's right. Keep going. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments, so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day?
This is your helper, man. I can't say that enough. This right here, this is the ultimate helper. All right, we're going to jump back in Wisdom 9, 14. Wisdom 9 and 14. And we're going to read down to 18.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14. For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices but uncertain. Verse 15. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. Verse 16. And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven who have searched out.
All right, so I gotta stop. So hardly do we guess aright the things that are upon the earth. It's still people debating whether the earth is a circle or whether it's a disc. And you know what? It's gonna take somebody's whole life. It's gonna take multiple people's whole life to figure that out.
Right.
It took multiple people's whole life to design the automobile. Hardly do we guess aright at the things that are before us. But the things that are in heaven, you don't got no chance.
Right.
That's why the Spirit is your helper. Because Moses went up the mountain and brought the law down to you. You didn't have to, multiple people didn't have to spend their whole life figuring out what the Most High like. That's the folly of these other nations. We let them, slay a pig. Maybe that'll please the gods.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, the gods don't care about you, man.
I don't care about that, man.
You know? So, but that's the folly of the other nations. We don't have that folly. We don't have to worry about that because the Most High told us what's pleasing to him. Verse 17.
Verse 17. In thy counsel who have known, except thou give wisdom, and send thy Holy Spirit from above.
That's right. Keep going.
Verse 18. For so the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed, and men were taught the things that are pleasing unto thee, and were saved through wisdom.
So the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed. Because that's that law, man.
Right.
You know, you was trying to do something over here, and the Most High was like, nah, bring it in a little bit, bring it in. You know? And so that's the wisdom. That's the, man, I can't say it enough, man. Like, we literally are in a better place now that we keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for a fact that I ain't gonna go out here and be smoking no weed no more. I know for a fact I'm not about to be riding around in a car with guns and stuff in the car. I'm not doing that, man. I'm past that. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's so stupid, dog. And all we want to do is be niggas, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that we want to be niggas so bad is because Esau has taught us how to be niggas, and he did it well. Matter of fact, Esau taught us how to be niggas so well that his kids want to be niggas.
Right. Right. They just switched it up.
Man, look. You got white kids walking around with their hat backwards and pants sagging.
Dreads.
Just the foolishness, man. All right, cool. Let's last chapter, Wisdom 10 and 14.
This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 14.
Oh, I'm sorry. Start at 13.
Verse 13. That's the Spirit.
That's right.
Look, I messed up.
You was looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 13. When the righteous was sold, she forsook him not, but delivered him from sin. She went down with him into the pit.
That's right.
Verse 14. And left him not in bonds, till she brought him the scepter of the kingdom and power against those that oppressed him. As for them that had accused him, she showed them to be liars and gave him perpetual glory.
So that's dealing with. Matter of fact, let me let you read it first. Go ahead. Verse 15.
Verse 15. She delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them.
That's right. That's right. 16.
Verse 16.
We're going all the way down to 17.
Verse 16. She entered into the soul of the servant of the Most High and withstood dreadful kings in wonders and signs. Verse 17. Rendered to the righteous a reward of their labors, guided them in a marvelous way, and was unto them for a cover by day and a light of the stars in the night season.
If that don't sound like the helper, man,
right?
That jump was always there, man. And that's another thing. It brings a whole nother meaning when you see the Israelites just journeying through the wilderness, right?
Right.
And they doing stuff, and other nations like, yo, man, what's going on with these people? They just going from place to place, killing everybody. They was getting dismayed. They was getting scared. But they had rules in place, man. Like they was doing weird stuff. Like, yo, the priest gonna go out and blow the horn, and then we gonna carry the Ark of the Covenant. All of that's commandments. Right. Just by keeping the commandments, the walls fell. They ain't have to lift the sword, man. And that was for Jericho. So it just cannot be overstated. It cannot be overstated how much this law has been there for us, man. We coming up on what they call Pentecost. I keep saying what they call Pentecost because Pentecost is the Greek name for our holiday. All right. Our holiday is actually called Shabbat or Shavuot. And that's when, like I said, that's when Moses brought the commandments down. That's when the Spirit came down upon the disciples, man. So we are prepared. We are in that time of year, right between the Passover and right between when the Most High gonna pour out His Spirit. So we just need to be right, man, because this is the helper. We want to clean up the house. You know what I'm saying? Like when you first get that lady friend and you courting her, you're gonna clean up the house real nice before she come over there. Right. You ain't gonna just have your junk looking crazy, you know, because then she gonna come in there and be like, this ain't the right one. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like he the wrong one for me.
Brother dirty.
Yeah, I can't do that. So, you know, we got to clean up the house before the helper come through, man. But that's all I got. Anybody got any questions or anything? We're going to take the questions concerning the lesson first. Anybody got any questions or any comments concerning the lesson first? The water. Con, go ahead.
I was saying, Shalom, brother. This brother Kent, man. I was gonna say, man, great lesson came out in the beginning, talking about as far as the help needed, something real interesting and powerful that like really like pulled me into it because I'm like, this is something I've been talking about for a minute. So I'm glad that you brothers came out with this lesson, man. All praises to the Most High, brothers being the campers for real.
All praises. The water. Hey, I'm gonna turn. You mind turn that vent off? It's the last button on the left at the bottom. Con, anybody else got anything? This one here? Yeah. Here we go. Con. The water to everybody, man. All praises to the Most High. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And if the other ones got anything to say, that's all I have so far. Con, go ahead. All praises. The water. The water Adawan Eliel. The water Adawan Mayakaya. And anybody else I missed, the water to all y'all, man, for listening and doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and end the conference call unless somebody has something to say. And I'm Khan, go ahead.
There's no other ones on the call?
I'm not sure.
Hey, Shalakia, it's Mike. Hey, brother, you showing yourself studying, man. Hey, keep up the good work, man. This was an excellent lesson. You were quick, straight to the point. And I think everybody's holding their peace because they're waiting for Adawan Yahweh all to say something. But a great lesson. Hey, keep it up.
Khan, the water.
Adawan.
Yeah, I agree with that, brother. That was very comprehensive. I got a quick question. Do you think that is something to the fact that you were bringing out how the wife is supposed to be our helper, and the fact that in Savant that wisdom is referred to as a she?
Well, it's possible because it's a companion. That's a good question, but the brother. So for anybody who couldn't hear it, the brother on the phone was asking whether the reason that the spirit is the helper and wisdom is called a she. You know what I'm saying? So like, what's the correlation? And I think it is a correlation. I think it's purposeful. When you look into the Hebrew word for wisdom, the Hebrew word for wisdom is a female word. Like it's not, each Hebrew word has a con. But the word Hebrew, so every Hebrew word has a female or male counterpart. Okay. Or it'll either be female or male. That's what I'm trying to say. So, like for instance, the word for wisdom is a female word. I'm gonna pull it up. And so when you read it in the context of a sentence, because they're trying to maintain subject verb agreement, the rest of the sentence will read as if it's a she. When in reality, it's just because it's a Hebrew word that's a female word. Does that make sense? So, like for instance, if the word for chair was a male word, then the rest of the sentence would read as if it was a male. So it could say, it instead of she, but it decides to say she. And I think the writers did that on purpose, because I do think that it represents the helper. And I think that the Most High purposely, he wrote things into the scriptures like that. Like Jeremiah 31, he says that, I will put a new spirit in you. You know what I'm saying? So we know that that's the helper. But yeah, that's an excellent question. I'm going to pull up the Hebrew word for wisdom real quick because I had it, but I don't.
God, they got a couple of them.
Khan, go ahead.
I believe it's Kawakma.
That's right.
It's like CH. If you say it in the modern, it's Chakma. If you say it in the paleo, you add the Y there.
That's right. That's right. So if you look at it, it's right here. If y'all can see that, it's H2451, and you see it says noun feminine. So in order to maintain subject verb agreement, every time it's in a sentence, the pronouns that go along with it is going to be feminine pronouns. It doesn't necessarily mean that wisdom is a woman, because some people teach that there's a woman God, and they use those wisdom scriptures to back that up, and that's totally off. We know that the Most High is the only. You know what I'm saying? So it's foolishness, man. Some of the stuff that people try to come up with.
So I guess what I was trying to say is like making the correlation like how a woman is our companion, like wisdom should be our companion.
No,
I guess that's a better way of saying what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So no, that's absolutely right though. That's absolutely right. I think that the writers did that on purpose. I think the writers specifically formed their sentences with pronouns. You get what I'm saying? So like or not with pronouns, because you wouldn't see a pronoun in Hebrew, but they put the rest of the words with subject verb agreement. So like, for instance, if you read, let me get a verse with wisdom real quick. Let me get a precept. Go to Sirach. No, that's not a good example. That's not in the hold on. I'm gonna pull one. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. So Deuteronomy 4 and 6.
Con.
And I'm gonna pull it up in the interlinear on Bible Hub.
Con. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
That's right. Okay, so when you look at this in the Hebrew, and I'm showing the brother here, 4 and 6, this is your wisdom. So 2451.
Done.
And that's going to be the same word, kokma, or, you know, however you say it in the Paleo. But if you continue to read, this is, hold on, I'm trying to find. You see, we can't see it because of the conjugations. But see, look, so this is the pronoun that was in front of it. 1931. You see how 1931 can either be he, she, or it? 1931 was the pronoun used in the Hebrew. And it can either be he, she, or it. They didn't even have to put that word there at all. I'm saying that the scribes put that there specifically so that when you read it, it has a pronoun attached to it. And since the word wisdom is female, they have to put a female pronoun with it. So it gives you the connotation, like you're saying, and it makes you believe, oh man, we talking about a female. And yeah, so I think that's a perfect correlation. I think that we know that the scribes, like, that's the thing. We don't give our scribes enough credit. As the Israelites, we give a lot of people credit. We give all the people in the Bible credit, but we never really give shouts out to the scribes. The scribes was on point. If you go to Psalms 119 in the interlinear, this will be the last thing I'll show you, then I'm done. Psalms 119 in the interlinear, and you're not going to see it in your regular Bible. Hold on. So Psalms 119 in the interlinear, this is a poem. And the thing about poetry is that it has a specific style and structure. And so what they did with Psalms 119 was, if you open up your regular Bible to Psalms 119, you'll see that each section of that psalm has a Hebrew letter associated with it. Those Hebrew letters are the letters that start each line in that part of that psalm. So for instance, when you get to verse 1, Psalms 119 and 1, every single word under the Aleph section, verses 1 through 8, every single one of those verses starts with an Aleph. Verses 9 through 16, every single one of those verses start with a Bet. Verses 17 through 24 start with a Gimel, so forth and so on. So the scribes was geniuses, man. They didn't do nothing on accident. And when people, like when scoffers and stuff try to come up and be like, oh man, you know, you believe that Bible, it's like, brother, get out of here, man. You don't even know what you're talking about, man. Like, these people were smarter than your average person. This is an example of it right here. See, look. Verses
Aleph right here.
That's right. It puts that Aleph there, but every one of those, Aleph, 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 Aleph. Then when you get down to verse 9, Bet. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that pattern if you look it up. I don't know if y'all can see that, but every verses 1 through 8 all start with an Aleph. And then starting at verse 9, every verse starts with a Bet. You know what I'm saying? So the scribes got to get their love too, man. But Khan, that's all I got All praises to the Most High. Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatham, Shalom.
Shalom. That was beautiful.
Shalom.
Khan.